Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'll hold this a little closer just in case you can't see it. I won't make any comments this year, but there you go. Welcome to the annual meeting of the Outer Banks Community Foundation. It's a little different this year, friends. For those of you that don't know me, my name's Scott Brown, and I have had the true privilege of serving as a director here on our board for the last 6 years, the last 2 years as our president. And the annual meeting is always a feel-good for me. And it is a feel-good because of who is connected to it and who participates in it. So I am thankful that all of you chose to join us today, even in this format, regardless of the way that you are a stakeholder with the Community Foundation, whether you are a donor or a staff person for one of our nonprofit partners or a volunteer, a former director here, an emeritus member, legacy member, whatever. The commonality that connects us is that we are people that care about our community, and we are people that are committed to leaving it better than we found it. So thank you for joining us here today. Just a few quick housekeeping items to help set us up for success. If you would like to follow along with us and access a program, there should be one in the Zoom comments section. There's a link that you can click on. And if for some reason you're connecting in a different format, you can also go to obcf.org and find a program there if you would like to follow along. Secondly, if you would please mute yourself, at least for the time being, we would certainly appreciate that as well. It has been a heck of a year, but we have had a great team that has helped us get through it and succeed through it and help a lot of people through it. So I want to recognize some of those great folks that I have had the privilege to serve with. First, our board of directors, Ms. Nancy Cavanis, who had a record-breaking year in her fundraising activities, Jean Louise Scout Dixon, Miss Linda Hester, who's got to be the warmest person that's ever greeted people, Greg Honeycutt, the poster boy of the Community Foundation, Noel the Admiral Preston, Pat Packy Regan. We put him to work right away finding food for the community in the midst of COVID. David Schuffelbarger, the Earth's preeminent fundraising expert. Nancy Sugg, who has so many claims to fame. The one I'm most grateful for is that she took my calls at 8 o'clock before she had coffee for the last 2 years. Ruth Toff, who loves Ocracoke and can catch a citation fish with the best of them. Clark Twitty, our current treasurer, our incoming president. His new nickname, friends, is Fresh Legs. And Jane, the Lady Webster, who does more nonprofit work on the Outer Banks than anybody I know. We also have a phenomenal staff team led by our very own wonderful executive director, LORELEI Costa. We also have a new finance manager, Jeff Dippold, who's been wonderful. Bob Muller has stepped in to serve and help and lead again as our disaster relief coordinator. Scout Schillings, who helps us administratively and with bookkeeping and with all kinds of activities. The wonderful Nandy Stewart, who is running this meeting, who helps administratively and runs our scholarship program. And she's put up with me a lot. And Marianne Tobaz, who's done a wonderful job with marketing and is leading our fundraising efforts. So thank you to all of you for your service over the past year. We are truly grateful. Just a few brief highlights to share with you. There's not going to be a keynote this year. We thought, given the format, video could speak better. So I want to thank Clark Twitty. He and his team put together a wonderful video for us that is going to share in great detail about some of the wonders that was 2020. I will tell you, though in the midst of challenges, the Community Foundation was there for our community. We awarded $1.8 million in grants and scholarships. That is something to feel good about. Nearly $300,000 specifically in COVID-19 rapid response grants. We continued with our Dorian long-term recovery grants. Yes, even though COVID emerged, we were still doing our best to be faithful to Dorian. And we awarded scholarships to 74 local students. Just a quick brief overview so that you know what to expect. I mentioned the video. After that, we will have a champion award to give away. Our incoming president, Clark Twitty, will tell you what's in store for the year ahead. But first, we have the elections of our incoming board members. And I want to thank and recognize Ms. Elizabeth Riley, who served on that committee and will present the slate of new directors to you. Elizabeth?
Good afternoon. My name is Elizabeth Riley, and I was a member of the Community Foundation's nominating committee this year. I served on the committee this year along with Chris Sewell and Jane Webster, our 2020 vice president, who served in place of the president due to a family emergency. On behalf of the nominating committee, it is my privilege to conduct the 2021 election for the board of directors of the Outer Banks Community Foundation. Thank you for your patience while we conduct these elections electronically. The Community Foundation's bylaws set a limit for the number of consecutive terms that anyone can serve on the board of directors. This is to ensure that we bring fresh perspectives to the organization. This year, the Community Foundation has 3 board members who have reached the end of their terms: Greg Honeycutt, Nancy Sugg, and Scott Brown. We will be recognizing these departing members later on in the program. To fill these 3 open positions, the nominating committee has nominated 3 individuals: David Clausen, Michael Lewis, and Jason Wattell, who will be new board members serving 3-year terms. In addition to the 3 new board members, we have 2 current board members who are eligible and willing to serve second terms, 3 years each: David Schuffelbarger and Linda Hester. The biographies of all of these nominees are in your program, and the link to your program is in the comment section of the Zoom. In sum, the nominating committee unanimously nominates David Clausen, Michael Lewis, and Jason Wattell, David Schuffelbarger, and Linda Hester to the board for 3-year terms. Are there other nominations from the floor? Hearing none, I declare the nominations closed. All in favor of electing the slate of the board of directors as presented, please unmute your lines and say aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Any opposed? I am pleased to announce that Michael, Jason, Linda, David Clausen, and David Schuffelbarger have been elected. Thank you. And now it is my privilege to conduct the election for next year's nominating committee. It is our tradition at the Community Foundation to have a 3-person nominating committee, including 1 emeritus director, 1 member from the community at large who has never served on the board, and the current president of the board, whoever that is in the position when the committee convenes. On behalf of the 2020 nominating committee, today we nominate Charles Hardy and Patty McKenna, whose biographies are in your program, and our 2021 board president, who is Clark Twitty, who will be speaking later today. Are there other nominations from the floor? Hearing none, I declare the nominations closed. All in favor of electing those candidates for the 2021 nominating committee, please unmute your lines and please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any opposed? I'm pleased to announce that Charles, Patty, and the 2021 board president have been elected to the 2021 nominating committee. Thank you. Next, please let me introduce Jean Louise Dixon, the 2021 secretary.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jean Louise Dixon, and I'm honored to serve as Secretary of the Outer Banks Community Foundation. Our mission at the Community Foundation is to meet local needs in Dare County and the entire Outer Banks by managing charitable funds for individuals and agencies and targeting grants and scholarships toward our community's most pressing needs and promising opportunities. 2020 was a year when we saw many pressing needs across our community, including the pandemic, challenges with remote learning, food insecurity, revenue shortfalls for nonprofits, and economic hardship for businesses and families. We worked hard at the Outer Banks to address those needs. 2020 was also a year of milestones for us. We had our largest year of grant making ever, awarding over $1.8 million in grants and scholarships. And we hit $22 million in our community endowment. With this growing endowment, we'll be able to give out even more grants and scholarships in the generations to come. Normally at this point in our annual meeting, you'd be eating dessert with your friends and colleagues, and we'd have several speakers for you, including several board members, a scholarship recipient, and a keynote speaker from the community. Normally, our grant partners would also be in the room with you so you could hear from them about their projects and their accomplishments. This year, since we cannot commune with each other in person, we thought this might be an opportunity to show you video coverage from some of our grant partners and beneficiaries so you can see and learn about their projects from their locations all over the Outer Banks. Our videographer, Benny Baldwin, traveled all over Dare County, Hatteras, and Ocracoke to bring you this footage, and we're grateful to everyone who gave their time speaking with Benny and showing him their sites and their projects. This video is 18 minutes long and worth every second. And please stick with us afterwards because we have our champion awards to announce immediately thereafter. Please enjoy the video. Thank you.
My name is LORELEI Costa, and I am the Executive Director of the Outer Banks Community Foundation. Thank you so much for joining our 2021 annual meeting. This year it's a little bit different. This year we are convening virtually, and we thank you for joining us from your workplace, from your home, wherever it is that you have a computer or a phone. We wish we could be with you in person, but goodness, 2020 was a challenging year, and those challenges continue. But I have to say, after being with the Community Foundation for 8 years, I have never been so proud to be part of this organization and to partner with you all as I have been in 2020 and also right after Hurricane Dorian in 2019. It was a hard year for sure for our community, for our entire country, but all of you, all of us in the Outer Banks and at the Community Foundation, once again, we really stepped up to help our neighbors, even when we were scared, for our health, even through economic uncertainty, we stepped up and helped. And in this video, we want to share with you some stories of some of our grant partners, of our scholarship recipients, how the Community Foundation was able to help our neighbors, help our friends, help people across our community. Thank you so much for being a part of it, and I hope you enjoyed these stories.
The unique thing about 2020 is all the curveballs that have been thrown our way. And for parents in the community, one of the big things is, where do my kids go with school being out? And thanks to the generosity of the Outer Banks Community Foundation, the YMCA has been able to provide an e-learning program for children as an outlet so parents can still, work or carry on with their days. It's always fun when two nonprofit organizations come together to serve a community need. And I can't think of a larger community need than this. And it's been an incredible program to see the kids that develop skills that normally they would develop in the school, but they're doing them here at the YMCA. And we can't thank the Community Foundation enough for their generosity to make this happen. We're not turning any child away due to the inability to pay, due to the foundation's gift that was made. So the kids come here, and most of them spend the entire day with us, so they're usually dropped off between 7 and 7:30, get picked up between 5:30 and 6 in the afternoon. The e-learning counselors do the virtual learning with them, so they make sure that they're on their classroom, make sure all their homework's done. Our ultimate goal at the end of the day is that every child makes every single class, and that every child goes home with all their completed schoolwork for the day. So it's just one less burden for the parent to have to take on at home during everything else going on in their life right now. So again, we are so excited about the partnership, and LORELEI and the board, we can't thank them enough. The parents can't thank them enough. It's been an incredible program, and it's really what the Y does best. It's serving the community at a time of need.
My name is Elizabeth Silverthorne, and I'm the Executive Director of the Beach Food Pantry. What a year we've had. When the bridges closed, we were all concerned about what would happen, and we had so many people that were in need. But the Outer Banks Community Foundation jumped into gear immediately, and they offered rapid response grants, and they knew that hunger was one of the biggest needs in the county. And so they were able to help fund food for the Beach Food Pantry. And they've done that through a number of rapid response grants, and we wouldn't have made it through without them. Also, when we realized that the entire county needed some assistance, we wrote a grant from the Beach Food Pantry, but as a coordinated buying program so that the entire county could benefit from it. And the Community Foundation provided some volunteer assistance as well, because people were so passionate about the project. And then we were able to get a large amount of food that was able to be spread across the pantries in our area. And one of the things that we realized with the pandemic also is that transportation is even more of an issue than it's ever been. And even for someone to be able to get to food. And so the Beach Food Pantry had for many years dreamed of getting a van so that we would be able to be more efficient in our regular operations, but also be able to take out mobile pantries and be able to get food out to people better. And so we were able about a month ago to get that. But the van comes all standard. There's no refrigeration in the back. And so the latest rapid response grant that we've been able to get from the Community Foundation is to help us get refrigeration so that the frozen meats and the vegetables and dairy can still go out, and we can keep all of the food safety protocols in place. So we're very, very excited for the partnership with the Outer Banks Community Foundation. There probably isn't a space in this pantry that they haven't touched in some way, shape, or form over the years. And we are thankful for the fact that they serve the entire community and that they truly care.
Well, the two grants that we received from the Community Foundation has really jump-started our organization. It allows us to not only represent the Outer Banks, North Carolina, but also allows us to tell our story to a wider audience.
Yeah, we always say that this story, this history, is a history that the community, the state, and the nation should be proud of. So the community grants that we have been afforded have really helped us to make much more awareness to this history, particularly here on Roanoke Island and in the Outer Banks. Well, the grant is to raise awareness. We've picked 3 words with a catchy title, Freedmen, Surfmen, Heroes, and it's to make this history more known. You know, we struggle with competing with the other historical events in the area, like the Lost Colony and the Wright brothers, and you know, many things that the public are more aware of. So our Freedmen, Surfmen, Heroes initiative is a concerted effort to make this history much more broadly known.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Albanese. I'm with Interfaith Community Outreach. I'm the executive director here. I've been with the organization for 11 years. Our mission is we help people facing temporary emergency crisis. We have 5 programs: emergency outreach, cancer outreach, veteran outreach, disaster outreach, and we also do home rehab outreach. With the help of the Outer Banks Community Foundation, we were able to offer child care assistance for families in need that have to go to work every single day, can't leave their 5-year-old at home. So we were offered a $45,000 grant from the Outer Banks Community Foundation. Outer Banks Community Foundation also awarded Interfaith $25,000, which we were able to use to help pay people's rent, mortgage, any bills that they needed assistance with during this COVID pandemic starting in March of 2020. Interfaith community outreach has been blessed by the Outer Banks Community Foundation. We have received veteran grant over $12,000 to help veterans in Dare County and Currituck County. We have received close to $100,000 for all assistance from the Outer Banks Community Foundation in 2020. I just want to also thank LORELEI, the staff, and the board of directors for working tirelessly with Hurricane Dorian and the other nor'easters that have came through. We have been able to assist Dare County residents that have been affected by all storms. So we would like to thank the Outer Banks Community Foundation for always being there.
I graduated from First Flight and am now at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, and I am so grateful that I received the Milton Jewell Academic Scholarship because it made it possible for me to be there. It's an academic scholarship for $6,000 per year for 4 years. It makes it so I don't have to work quite so much to make ends meet, and makes it so I can focus a little more on my studies as opposed to like having a job. I would love to get into video game development. I'm majoring in creative writing and new media communications, so hopefully that'll happen.
My name is Lutzi Velasquez Tovar. I am a Manual High School graduate, 2020, class of 2020. Right now I am in ECU's ribbon program for nursing. So I am dual enrolled with COA and ECU. My ECU course is online and COA courses. And my goal overall is to one day come back to the Outer Banks and help out all the youth. Thank you to the Outer Banks Community Foundation for allowing me to get all these scholarships that are pushing me to become a nurse. And without these scholarships, I probably wouldn't have as much as determination as I would have had without them.
The second that the coronavirus became front page news and we started moving towards a lockdown, one of my first calls was to LORELEI at the Community Foundation. We have a very inventive staff and a very proactive board, and we immediately hit the ground running. We came up with a wide variety of ideas. The proposal that we put in front of the grants committee was called Dare Digital Arts, and it had a number of components. The first was what ended up being a really successful new program called the Courthouse Sessions, where we would live stream local musicians and immediately get money into their pockets. So for us, the grant funds were a multiplier. We were able to invest in equipment, in know-how, in marketing to get this series off the ground. We worked with dozens of musicians who were able to raise money through the series. We worked with tremendous partners like the Bryan Cultural Series, who also came on board, so that was a multiplier effect as well. And within about a month, we had kind of a hit TV show. So the Dare Digital Arts grant was a immediate, short-term, need it now piece of relief. But in addition to that, we've been working with the Community Foundation for 5 years on the Courtyard Project, which is our effort to convert the rear yard behind the courthouse building in downtown Manteo into a first-class art space. That project really started 10 years ago with the renovation of the courthouse. The courtyard is the final piece of the puzzle, and through 2 very generous grants from the Community Foundation, we'll probably be able to finish that project by June or July.
So 2020 really was an extraordinary year. And one way it was an extraordinary year for the Community Foundation was in the amount of money we were able to use to help our community. We gave out over $1.8 million in 2020 in grants and scholarships. A huge amount of that was for COVID rapid relief grants. We did those in 8 cycles. I've never been more proud of my board of directors, the volunteers on our board, when they were reviewing those grants, sometimes overnight, trying to get money out as quickly as possible to help people in need. We also had a great year in scholarship, helping over 75 students achieve their dreams of attending college. We also did a lot in the Southern Outer Banks, Hatteras, Ocracoke, helping to continue to rebuild and repair those communities after Hurricane Dorian, helping families elevate their homes, helping families repair their homes, sometimes completely rebuilding their homes, and get back on their feet after Hurricane Dorian.
We have been providing emergency assistance for Hatteras Islanders for more than 40 years now. Immediately after Dorian, there were 466 families who asked for help. So we were overwhelmed, but fortunately we had a lot of help. Organizations like the Community Foundation and a lot of volunteers. We were able to provide the urgent needs for all of those families. So we have replaced a lot of roofs, floors, appliances, and so forth. As we got into the longer-term recovery, what we did was decide to work on trailers because none of the federal programs covers manufactured homes. So the Community Foundation was generous enough to provide a grant to allow us to do that work.
The Methodist men as well as the Community Foundation went above and beyond for my family. After 2 storms now, we got my house beyond where it needs to be, as well as my roof's been redone, the interior, so my family can live here again, and now we're getting my trailer elevated.
We would not be where we are without the aid of the Outer Banks Community Foundation. Very little process. They saw the need, they knew the need, they were able to push us through very quickly without a lot of any kind of red tape or any kind of hassle. It was an immediate need. Their rapid grants program saved lives. It has saved lives.
Having our home raised and ultimately saved, I mean, that is something that my family is forever beyond grateful for.
Of course, along came COVID, and so we have had to deal with that, and our food pantry and emergency assistance came into play, and thanks to the Community Foundation, we were able to carry on.
It has been very helpful this past year as we've had a partnership and a relationship with Outer Banks Community Foundation. 2 different main sources and way that they have helped us this year. The food pantry became an integral part ever since Hurricane Dorian, as we doubled the size of our pantry and began to expand, knowing that this year was going to be difficult for those that had a very limited income. And through Outer Banks Community Foundation funding that came in helped us be able to purchase new equipment, food as well, which made a big difference because before our food pantry did not really have any cold food storage, which was one of the portions that we wanted to be able to expand on. So much has happened this past year, not only with Hurricane Dorian, but also with COVID-19, just the stress, people being already out of work, people already having a hard time in their family. So we had the opportunity to hire Earl IRWIN to come in to actually work mental health on the island. So Outer Banks Community Foundation stepped up to that, actually helped with a grant to be able to get Earl here not only once, but actually twice.
I'm a retired clinical nurse specialist in psychiatry and mental health. People here are tremendously resilient. I got to know folks, and eventually people started coming forward individually to let me know that even though they were looking one way on the outside, they were feeling very differently on the inside. And I was able to begin to help folks in that way, talking one-on-one. And I just am really appreciative that the foundation has allowed me to be here, or has helped and be available to people. I've been here a total of 9 months so far, and I look forward to the next 3 months and continuing to work with folks.
I think when it was all said and done, there was over 400 houses that had sustained substantial damage, mine being one of them. The process of trying to recover from that was extensive. We got a lot of help from different organizations to start the recovery. The majority of the work was done by Encore. Without those folks, I mean, it would have been a long, long time before I could have ever gotten back in my house. The Outer Banks Community Foundation was instrumental in helping us to get back on our feet also. We certainly appreciate their efforts with all that they did for all the folks here on Ocracoke.
Everything we did in 2020 was thanks to our donors, thanks to our contributors, our members, our volunteers, our grant partners, nonprofits across the community, just helping people in need. And I'm so grateful for everybody in our community for pulling together. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you so much for being part of the Community Foundation. We rely on you for gifts today and in the future. Huge part of our grant making is thanks to Legacy Gifts. If you'd like to learn more about how to make a planned gift to help the Outer Banks, or if you'd like to make a gift today, please go to our website, obcf.org. And thank you again so much for being so generous with your neighbors and with the Community Foundation.
Welcome back, everyone. We are here at the live at the courthouse. We are at the Dare County Arts Council. Behind me, you will see the Frank Stick art exhibit. And if you haven't been to the courthouse to see this exhibit, I encourage you to get here quickly because it is just beautiful. So I am LORELEI Costa. It has been such an honor and privilege to be your executive director over the past 8 years. I have to admit, I'm getting a little emotional. I was looking through the photos of everybody who's joining the meeting, and I just miss you all so much, and I really miss convening with you all in person, but I am grateful that you've joined us by Zoom. And forgive me for being corny, but I have to shout out to my mom. My mom is on Zoom. Hi, Mom. So that's the blessing of having a virtual meeting, is my mom is able to join us. Thank you so much for joining us. It is also my honor and privilege to announce our champion winners this year. Our board of directors meets every year in December, and among other things, they think about the year that has gone by, and they think about who has really helped the Community Foundation and who they want to honor as champion recipients. And every year, I feel like it's usually pretty straightforward and unanimous. So years past, one year we honored Josephine Odie, who was our first female board member. She was also our first board member from HATTERAS, and she started our scholarship program with a gift in memory of her mother. One year they honored Mike Reeves, who was a board member who started our David Stick Legacy Society. Quick aside, I was asked to do a PSA about our website and a special feature that's coming to our website, which is all about planned giving. So please check out our website in the coming weeks to look at your planned giving options. This year, the board of directors in December, they met, they thought about the year, and they thought about the multitudinous ways that thousands of people from across the community helped after Dorian, through COVID, and I think they were a little stumped in trying to identify just one organization or one person. They thought about the community in general. So that's the first group I want to talk about, is just the Outer Banks in general. So after Dorian, thousands of people contributed their labor, their time, their financial contributions to help their neighbors. The pandemic came in 2020. We're still struggling from Dorian. Our island communities were closed. We were scared, but our neighbors kept helping. Our neighbors were serving food, delivering food, helping in all sorts of ways, helping students who were struggling with remote learning. So the board just wanted to thank the community in general for all of the ways that you've helped, whether it's after a terrible car crash, a tragic house fire, a cancer diagnosis. The people of the Outer Banks step up over and over again to help their neighbors. There's a second group that the board wanted to honor through the Champion Award this year. And there's a little bit of irony in recognizing this group. Every year we receive donations, some small, some very large, from anonymous contributors. People give to us and withhold their names, or sometimes people give to us and they say, don't even mention that a gift was made. And I think they do this for a few different reasons. some of them because they're very private, and some want to be anonymous for reasons of faith. So there are all of these unsung heroes each year who have helped in amazing ways that we never recognize. We normally like to thank our donors at the Community Foundation because we're very grateful, but also because we think it may inspire other donations. But there's all of these wonderful people who are contributing in these untold ways, and we want to thank those people. You know who you are. Nobody else knows who you are, but you know who you are, and we are grateful for you. Finally, there are 3 nonprofit partners that the board wanted to honor this year, and you heard from them in the video. So one is a group of men from Hatteras Island. That includes Dennis Carroll, Jim Scroggin, Danny Couch, Jeff Kloss, lots of others. The Cape Hatteras United Methodist Men. These guys are there after every storm, immediately helping people with immediate needs. They're there months after the storm, helping people rebuild their homes, helping people elevate their homes. They run a food pantry. They help people financially if they've lost a job. They even went to Ocracoke Island. They even crossed the water, went to Ocracoke Island several times to help their neighbors there. We are so grateful to the Cape Hatteras United Methodist Men. These are volunteers, and yet they're one of the most professionally run organizations I have ever worked with. They're thoughtful, they're careful, they're well organized, and they are amazing. So thank you, Cape Hatteras United Methodist Men. Speaking of Ocracoke, let me bring you back to the days after Dorian. We were raising a lot of money at the Community Foundation, but we didn't have a nonprofit partner immediately after the storm on the island with the capacity to get that money out to storm victims. You need a checking account and book of checks. You need case managers. You need people to meet with victims, help them identify what they need, sources of support. It's kind of a lot of work, and there wasn't a group like that immediately after the storm. So we went down to Ocracoke and we talked to the fire department. So firefighters normally fight fires, help with medical needs, help with car accidents. And I remember meeting with these guys maybe a week after the storm and us explaining to them what it entails. I think there's some pictures of that meeting that you're about to see. And I remember these folks looked a little overwhelmed at the prospect, but they did it. This was a community in crisis after a terrible tragedy that affected so many people. And these volunteers on the Firehouse Committee, many of them had significant damage to their own homes or family members with significant damage, but they stepped up, and it was all volunteers. Ernest Dozier, Carmen Layton, Charles Temple, Chrissy Gaskell, Dick and Janie Jacoby. I want to mention Jeff Dippold especially. He was amazing on that committee, so much so that we recruited him to join the staff, one of the best hires we ever made. And his wife, Susan, who's not officially on the committee, but did like all of the legwork. We love you, Susan. Thank you. Thank you so much to the Ocracoke Firehouse Committee for all of the amazing ways you helped your neighbors after Dorian for many, many months, countless hours. All of the volunteer case managers on Ocracoke who helped. We so appreciate all of your efforts. Our last champion recipient is one that's particularly special to me because working with this group has been a highlight for me over the past 8 years. And that is Interfaith Community Outreach, and particularly their executive director, Jennifer Albanese, and all of her awesome volunteers, Karen DeBellis, Linda, her staff, Jean Freeman. It's just an amazing organization. This is a group that steps up to help so many people with so many different financial needs. We are blessed now with social media and GoFundMe and ways to easily help our neighbors after tragedies. But we have so many neighbors that don't get help through those ways, and that's where Interfaith comes in. They're helping all of these families, all of these people with needs, including hurricanes, fires, somebody in the family passing away, losing a job, having trouble paying your bills. They are always there. I called Jennifer earlier this year in the pandemic when our board identified the need to help working families with childcare. We had some programs in mind that were providing childcare for families, such as the YMCA, But we needed a partner that would help families pay for whatever kind of childcare they could find, and Interfaith stepped up. They stepped up in going to Ocracoke to help train those new volunteers from the Firehouse Committee. They helped some of the case management on Ocracoke. They help people with cancer. Interfaith is just an amazing organization, and we are grateful to them. So a friend sent me, my friend Jennifer sent me a text this morning saying that she was looking forward to the annual meeting, and she goes every year because it makes her happy and a little gooey inside and very proud of her little community. And I want to say thank you to you all for making me feel a little bit gooey inside. It has been an honor to be here. And I'm honored to introduce our next speaker, who is Jane Webster, our Vice President, who will be honoring our department board members.
Thank you, Lorelei. Good afternoon, fellow members and guests. I'm deeply honored to be able to say a few words about each of our outgoing board members, Nancy Sugg, Greg Honeycutt, and Scott Brown. I'm going to stick right onto my script because with these three, I could keep us here until well into the afternoon. I can promise you that. Nancy Sugg began serving on the board in 2015. Right away, she became the go-to person for our busy staff. When duties reached the tipping point, Nancy would be called to help in the office, answering the phone, stuffing envelopes, personalizing letters, making thank you calls to donors, all of it important and all of it time-consuming. She served on the Donor Outreach Committee, and during that time hosted one of our receptions for donor prospects. As board secretary, she served on the executive committee and helped with many important decisions. She even had a one-year tour of duty on the finance committee to learn the money ropes. Nancy always came to the grants committee well prepared, having made a deep dive into all of our applications and the many attachments. Her contributions were constructive, and a great deal of thought was behind every vote. Her crowning glory, though, is her beloved Scholarships Committee, where she served for 6 years and began chairing in 2016. She has probably read over 1,000 scholarships. She was instrumental in guiding needed changes in the scholarship process. I'm sure she has many poignant memories of her interactions with her students. There's going to be an emptiness. We're going to miss the can-do attitude and the sunny disposition of our Nancy Sugg. Greg Honeycutt is our esteemed and revered repeater. He first served on the board from 2015 to 2010, and again from 2017 to 2020. During his many productive years with us, he was board secretary, which made him a member of the executive committee. He served on the scholarship committee, where he could fulfill his strong desire to help students. Greg was a true anchor for the grants committee. Not only did he come to the table having done his homework, he could always recall the nuances and the histories of grants from days gone by. His heart was grand, and he always kept a keen eye on our grants budget. Greg, though, will be remembered as the main link between our foundation and our beloved island of Ocracoke. He was a huge advocate for us and a huge advocate for the foundation, our mission, and a huge advocate for Ocracoke in the aftermath of Dorian. And that advocacy tied us together. We became close. We became family. He was instrumental in establishing our partnership with the Ocracoke Firehouse Committee, which was the hub of the relief fund distribution. We could not have succeeded in those efforts without him. To ensure that his love for and his belief in our community foundation continues, Greg and his lovely wife Eden have established a scholarship fund and are members of our Legacy Society. We are surely going to miss the wisdom, the wealth of knowledge, the steadfastness, and the gentle guidance of Greg Honeycutt. Scott Brown served on the board from 2015 to 2020. His list of committees and offices he has held is numerous. He served on the Development Committee and the Grants Committee. He has chaired the Finance Committee, chaired the Scholarship Committee, chaired the Financial Sustainability Task Force. He was elected treasurer for 2 years, which automatically put him on the Executive Committee. Then he was elected president for 2 years, and at that point, he became chair of the Executive Committee. Scott was extremely capable in all of these roles. He skillfully kept meetings in focus. He encouraged participation. He was a good listener and generally raised the bar for whatever was going on. Scott embodies leadership. It comes to him naturally. He is enthusiastic when he's at the helm. He enjoys rallying the troops. He enjoys bestowing rewards. There's something about him that makes you glad you're working with him. You can't tell him no. Let's not let these accolades overshadow the countless hours of volunteer time, from significant projects to often just stopping by the office to visit, say hello, ask if he's needed, and to offer the attaboys. Scott believes so deeply in the foundation, mission, and its future that he and his lovely wife, Allison, have become Legacy Society members. So, what are we going to miss now that Scott Brown has rolled off? His encouragement, his insight, his positive attitude, his tireless devotion, his flair, and to quote Godfrey Costa, he oozes charisma. To sum up these qualities, they are the hallmark of the leadership that we will miss. Now, if we were in person in a big room with a festive atmosphere, there would be a standing ovation at this point, and we would be presenting their gifts. We will still give them their gifts, however. We will put them on a table, and they will have to walk 6 feet to get them. Thank you for your attention.
Hello, everybody. My name is Clark Twitty, and I am fortunate to be sitting in the president's chair for the coming year, but more importantly to you right now, I am the last speaker of the day. So I've just got a few things, and then we'll get you on your way, and if we can finish early, we'll give you some time back in your day. I only have to do 2 things today. Number one, we need to say thank you. I want to thank the staff. Just off camera here, we see a staff that put this together in a magnificent way. You no doubt are aware we have a wonderful staff at the Outer Banks Community Foundation. I'd like to thank the board. I'm looking at several board members right now. Not only current board members, but board members like Scott and many others who are departing, board members who are joining us, and many board members who paved the way for us and on whose shoulders we stand today. Thank you for the board and all of your volunteer time you spend with this organization. I'd like to thank the Dare County Arts Council for hosting us today in this beautiful facility. I want to point out that we worked hard to do this safely today. We know there's a pandemic going on. We are all spread out and our masks are on when we are not on camera. Thank you to everyone. Lastly, thank you to each and every one of you. I chatted with Nandy just a moment ago, almost 90 people, 90 people joining us today. Thank you for your patience as we worked hard to try to do an annual meeting in a way that is a little bit different than what we have ever done. And we welcome your feedback on anything we've done today in terms of officers, elections, our presentation. Your voice will be heard. It's important. Thank you for that. Now, one last thing. As you no doubt are aware, and if you haven't heard, LORELEI Costa has put on full display some courage to let us know she is getting ready to write a new chapter in her life. So LORELEI would hate it if I tried to embarrass her. So LORELEI, I won't talk to you right now. Catherine, LORELEI's mom, I know you're on camera today, so I'm going to talk with you, if I may, about your daughter. Your daughter arrived on the Outer Banks somewhere around November of 2012. And as you probably know, this organization has been around more than 30 years. LORELEI has been here almost 8 years, actually a little over 8 years. And here's what's happened to put her time at the Community Foundation in context. During that period of time, the funds that we manage have doubled during that 8-year time. And the funds mean that's our lever to make an impact. Our ability to make an impact doubled. The individual funds that we are so fortunate to be stewards of doubled during that period of time. 8 years for an organization that's been around for many decades, doubled under LORELEI's leadership. Our staff, LORELEI, when you got here, I think was 2 people. Maybe that second person is counting maybe some of the birds even in the yard. Now, if you count our part-time staff, it's 6 people. And those 6 people are reflective of the complexity and the impact that you have developed the organization to be able to help so many people. On a personal note, you came together with Godfrey here. So, I'll keep this short. May the road rise to meet you on your way to Suffolk. We are thrilled of your new position in Suffolk. You have made an indelible impact on the Outer Banks, and no matter where you go in the world, you and Godfrey will always have a home here on the Outer Banks. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, we say goodbye today. Thank you all for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you after our vaccines in the office around the Outer Banks. Take a moment, think about your community foundation and how you can make sure it remains our community foundation for decades to come. Thank you for joining us. Enjoy your afternoon, and we stand adjourned.